I absolutely love sequels. Yeah, a lot of people will complain that it's just not as good as the original, but I just love that the story is continuing. It's great to be able to see more of the characters and what stories are utilized to continue the lives of these characters on screen. Today I'm going to be focusing on the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Caribbean, I don't know. The first Pirates of the Caribbean film was released on June 28th of 2003. It has a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes, certified fresh, and an audience score of 86%. These films, but mainly this first film, are based on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in the Disney parks. Considered one of the most immersive attractions created for a theme park, this ride was designed in the 1950s. Originally imagined as a wax museum and a walk-through adventure, it was then decided that audio animatronics was the best imaginative way to tell the story of these pirates. The Curse of the Black Pearl introduced the world to beloved characters such as Elizabeth Swann, Will Turner, and the iconic Jack Sparrow.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
With a $140 million budget, it received a worldwide gross of $654,264,015. After reading more about the concept of box office numbers, this $140 million budget is most likely actually just the production budget and doesn't include the marketing and advertising cost. The print and advertising cost of a film can be incredibly high and is most likely not included in this $140 million budget, so the box office numbers of a film might not be as good as it looks in the numbers if the numbers aren't representing everything that was actually spent. Not to mention the idea of ticket price revenue, giving a certain percentage of ticket sales to distributors such as movie theaters. With all of this in mind, I still believe that the numbers represented on Box Office Mojo can still represent a basic idea of how successful these films were worldwide, since I will only be using worldwide numbers. So Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl made a decent profit. I love the whimsy and fantastical elements and how this film combines spooky legends with exciting characters, creating a fun and engaging film. With the success of The Curse of the Black Pearl, obviously there was a need to make a sequel. Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest. This film was released 3 years after the first film on June 24th of 2006. This film received a 53% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 72% audience score. Despite these numbers not being as good as the first film, Dead Man's Chest had a budget of $225 million and a worldwide gross of $1,066,179,725. Even if Rotten Tomato scores didn't do as well as the first Pirates movie, audiences clearly wanted to see this film in the theaters. This film gets a little bit darker, the whole soul enslavement and whatnot, but if anything though, the fantasy kicks up a notch and the lore of the Pirates cinematic universe is expanded upon. The excitement and success from the first film no doubt encouraged people to continue with the franchise. Dead Man's Chest and At World's End, the third installment in this franchise, were filmed back-to-back. At World's End was released on May 25th of 2007, less than a year from the release of Dead Man's Chest, and moving away from the June release dates. This type of schedule is insane, and is done when the stakes are high and the audience is engaged, like with Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. The reviews for the third Pirates movie were about the same, with a 44% and a 72% audience score. This third film has the highest budget out of the three films, which makes sense. I mean, that ending scene alone is crazy insane. Unfortunately, numbers-wise, this larger budget did not set the film up for success as well as the studio had hoped for. With a $300 million budget, the most expensive budget thus far, the worldwide gross was $960,996,492, which is still an insane number and still the movie profited, but the difference between the budget and the box office numbers did decrease compared to the second film. I enjoy the third film. The idea of pirates gets kind of complicated, but the complexity of the story is still entertaining. I found this movie somewhat dense, and even though I enjoy watching it, I would probably reach for one of the other films in the Pirates franchise when watching a Pirates movie. The third film kind of concludes the Will and Elizabeth storyline. We then move to the fourth installment. I might consider the fourth film a weak point in the Pirates franchise, but I still enjoyed it. It delivers on what I want in a Pirates film. With that being said, it did only receive a 33% on Rotten Tomatoes with an audience score of 54%, the lowest reviewed Pirates movie of the bunch so far. It did still receive $1,045,713,802 at the box office against a $250 million budget, which is actually a smaller budget compared to the third film and accruing more money at the box office. This film was released on May 7th of 2011. I'll be honest, I wasn't totally thrilled about new characters. I loved Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann and was disappointed not to be seeing them in this film, but I enjoyed the storyline. I did enjoy the new characters. I thought the mermaids were awesome. I think that's why I like the fourth one so much, because how cool the mermaids were, even if they did eat people. I think this film could have been more successful if it was considered a standalone Pirates movie, like the standalone Star Wars films. Maybe if it was titled The Adventures of Jack Sparrow, something like that. Then it might not have been so heavily interpreted as a Pirates of the Caribbean film associated with all the previous Pirates stories. I think this is a great standalone Pirates film, and I think it would be cool if we got more standalone pirate stories. Not so heavily tied into the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. 6 years after On Stranger Tides, Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales hit theaters. The studio obviously decided that relying on the Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann story was going to be more successful. So we see the reintroduction of Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann's kid on the search for a MacGuffin. It received a worldwide gross of $794 $861,794 against a budget of $230 million. This is the second to lowest worldwide gross, the first film being at the bottom. But Dead Man Tell No Tale's budget was almost double what the first film's budget was. So despite not having the smallest worldwide box office numbers out of the Pirates movie, the difference between the budget and the box office numbers was smaller for the fifth Pirates movie, since the budget was almost twice what the first film was. This is the Pirates film that split the critic score and the audience score the most, receiving a 29% critically and a 61% audience score. That's a 32% difference compared to the other scores that differed at the most of 28%. So as the franchise hopefully continues, do you think that the difference between the critic score and the audience score is going to continue to increase, or do you think that for the next film, critics and audience will agree more? There has been so much involving Johnny Depp in recent news, resulting in him being let go by Disney and Harry Potter. Apparently, Margot Robbie is meant to appear in the sixth Pirates film, which is said to be a very female-driven film. I don't think they should try to replace Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. I would rather see a brand new character than a rehash of an old character, and the sixth film would be a great opportunity to advertise it as a standalone Pirates film. This might make the absence of Jack Sparrow more acceptable for audience members. Whatever happens, I'm just excited to see a new Pirates film, and I know it'll be entertaining.